Welcome to this enablement video where we're going to be talking today around how to accelerate AWS Well-Architected Framework Reviews utilizing Miro. My name is Rich Moore and I'm joined today by Jesse Greenhouse. Today, we're going to go into an introduction into what Miro is, a brief look at the AWS partnership that we have, as well as some of the challenges, and then we're going to be live demo with Jesse. So let's jump in. Miro is an online visual collaboration platform that was originally founded in 2011. Today, in 2025, we are an AI and insights-fueled innovation workspace where teams come together to build the next great thing. We have over 90 million users on our platform, and those incorporate some of the largest companies in the world. That's enough about Miro. Now, let's get an understanding of how Miro can support well-architected framework reviews by quickly looking at our partnership. Our partnership with AWS, we actually won Partner of the Year in 2023 at reInvent. In addition, we also are a company built on strong foundations. We have over 90 million users using a highly scalable architecture hosted on AWS. We're also listed in the AWS Partner Network and AWS Marketplace, and we have the privilege of working with the AWS prototyping team to ensure that we're building the features and capabilities to support AWS customers. We're doing this today via a number of different key themes within our product. We have very specific product features, such as shape packs, the ability to import and visualize architecture, as well as cost calculation and our well-architected framework tools. We're doing this today as well with custom blueprint templates that are supporting teams to do repeatable actions within the Miro platform for specific AWS workloads. And today we're running pilots with customers to help prove and ensure that their projects have an increased velocity, greater collaboration and alignment, and faster decision making. So how does Miro accelerate AWS cloud transformation projects? Well, what we know today is that project execution can actually feel quite chaotic, and typically all of these activities are being executed in siloed legacy tooling. What we're seeing is teams running workshops in PowerPoint. We're seeing actually teams doing the same thing, like designing architecture in PowerPoint. We're also seeing project management happening in tools like Jira and so on, where it's all sitting within these silos. Now, the great thing with Miro is that we can bring this all together within one space. And what we're going to have is Jesse walking us through exactly how to do that, where we're going to see how we can visualize infrastructure, how we can run cloud workshops, how we can do our strategy planning, project management, and cloud spend directly in the canvas. Now, we do this and can bring this all together into actually what we call a blueprint. Now, a blueprint is a templatized approach to the way that we come about supporting repeatable projects. In this case, what you're seeing here is an example of a cloud adoption framework. However, Jesse is going to take us through an example of a blueprint for running a well-architected framework review. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Jesse to walk us through that.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Rich. Let's jump into a demo now of how Miro can actually support an end-to-end well-architected framework review, bringing those use cases together, as Rich mentioned earlier. The first thing I'm going to do is actually break out of our presentation mode, and you can see here that we're actually instantly dropped into Miro. And what I'm going to do is actually open the sidebar here to kick off this process. If I open the sidebar, what you're seeing is there's actually a pre-populated space for us to run this review. You have sections for pre-read and setup, running the review, reviewing the risks, risk mitigation execution, and then review closeout. And so all of this, the end-to-end workflow, can be brought into a singular place, which is a huge value add. You're not hopping back and forth between all of those different tools. For the purposes of this demo, let's jump into the well-architected introduction. If it's your first time running a well-architected framework review, you have key documentation in here outlining the introduction, definitions, the actual pillars, and helping you understand what it is that you're trying to achieve before you move forward. We then know that in a well-architected framework review, you need to bring different people together and align on things like the timeline. You can actually switch to a different board. So if I move here to review setup to do just that, we can instantly see we're dropped into a board with things like aligning on your RACI, where you can see who's responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. You have your pre-review to-do list with a Kanban board. And you can even come in here and have dynamic tables or in timelines where you can actually see the key milestones that you need to hit as you execute this review. But now let's actually jump into talking about some of the automation that Miro's built in to help make these reviews even faster for you. And we're going to jump into this review risk section of our template and talk about how you can bring in risks into Miro and then start to work with those risks. So if I click on this board, one of the big challenges that we've heard in running well-architected framework reviews is once the review has been run in the console, you have to actually copy and paste all of those risks out of the console into a project management tool, whether it's Excel, Jira, you name it. With Miro, we've actually created an integration with the console that allows you to automatically import those risks as editable Miro cards, completely alleviating that pain. Let's take a look. So if I go here to the toolbar on the left-hand side, I've already added this integration and installed this on my account. So all I have to do is click AWS Well-Architected. I can then choose the region. I can then pull in that workload, and I'll be able to actually pick. You can see here I have the SaaS service workload ready to go. I click this, and it's actually going to go out and export this for me as editable Miro cards instantly. So I no longer actually have to go do that manual copy and pasting. And the beauty of Miro cards is that they actually are editable. So I can go in here and give them an assignee. I can start to do estimations. I give them start dates, end dates, and they've been imported from the console with actual guidance on what I need to do to mitigate this risk. Plus, you can see here that a lot of these are red, which means that they're high risk. And if I zoom down to the bottom here, you can see there are orange for medium risk. And some of the next things that we might need to do here is actually take all of these risks, which I can just move and drag them into this section up here, and summarize them and start to work on them. And for this is where some of the magic can start to happen. With Miro AI, you can actually simply click this button, and it's going to summarize all of those risks into a document for me, saving me that time of actually having to review it all myself. So if I click this button, you can see here that it's actually going to build me out a document in real time of the key themes from importing and pasting those risks. I can then enter a dedicated focus mode where I can go in and start to iterate on the document just like I could with any word processing solution. But what's next? Once we actually have pulled in the risks, we've done our summarizing, we need to actually start to work on mitigating them. And this is where Miro can really come to accelerate this process with integrations with tools like Jira. So I'm going to say I'm going to take these 5 cards just as an example, and I can simply drag them over to this section of the board where I have a Kanban board ready to go. Here I can do things like assign tasks, so I can assign this one to myself. But I can also then go in here and actually convert this to a Jira issue using our two-way sync integration with Jira. So I can go in here and click convert. And what you're going to see is it instantly takes that Miro card and it turns it into a Jira issue in seconds. So if you think about the value here, we went from having to manually copy and paste something from the AWS console to using Miro's integration to automate that process. And then we didn't even have to copy and paste it into Jira because we were able to automatically transfer that as well. So all of this is about helping you accelerate this process end to end. Next, let's actually talk about working on the risk mitigation strategy. We know for this that you need to bring in the existing infrastructure and start to actually make adjustments to fix these risks. Today, actually documenting that infrastructure can be a very manual task. And this is where a feature that we've created called AWS Cloud View can come out. If I switch to this import infrastructure board, I can actually go over here to the toolbar as well and search for AWS Cloud View. And AWS Cloud View allows you to actually connect Miro to your AWS account with a role ARN and automatically import and visualize the infrastructure that's currently in the cloud. So let's just try a sample account for the purposes of this demo. I'm going to go in and click AF South 1, click Next. You can filter on resources or tags if you want to, and then you can just instantly generate that diagram. And you can see it's been instantly brought in for me to go in. I can enter a dedicated focus mode, and I have all of the AWS architecture icons readily available for me to actually start to iterate on this infrastructure based off of the feedback that I got from the well-architected risk report. And on top of this, we can actually help with version controls and making decisions with our AWS Cost Calculator. If I switch forward to this architecture modernization board here, you can see we actually have a finalized diagram built in. But I want a quick understanding of what this cost would be. This is where our built-in AWS Cost Calculator can really come help. Instead of having to manually put all of these components into the AWS pricing calculator to get an estimation, I can simply open the toolbar on the left-hand side, type in AWS Cost Calculator, and all I have to do is highlight that diagram to start to see real-time estimations of what this cost would be on an hourly, a monthly, and an annual basis of running this architecture. And I can drop into the individual components like a front-end EC2 and see the implications of changes in real time. It's not going to necessarily replace the AWS pricing calculator, but it's going to make your process a lot faster as you make decisions. And ultimately, what you've been able to see here is how we're able to bring all of these key elements of running a well architected framework review into one place, but with magical moments of automation throughout the process. You can also bring together your milestone planning with built in tables. You can have built in timelines and an area to actually close out the review with a recap and reflection and a final document. And again, all of this is being done in one place. Now, we've shown you this for a well architected framework review, but we also can support the migration acceleration program, infrastructure modernization efforts, greenfield developments, and a variety of other AWS use cases. So if you have any questions about how we can come support something else beyond the well-architected framework review, please let us know. Now, Rich, why don't you close things out and let's talk about some next steps.
Thanks, Jesse. That was a really amazing demo where we were actually able to see how much pain we can resolve using our platform and the integrations there. So let's talk about next steps. So Miro's available on the marketplace. If you want to, you can scan this QR code. It'll take you directly to the link of where Miro is listed. We also have dedicated support for learning about more around how we support AWS projects. And you're welcome to come and scan the QR code in the middle here, which will take you to our AWS landing page. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with both myself and Jesse, feel free to scan these QR codes. This will take you to our LinkedIn, and we're more than happy to discuss any AWS related projects. Thank you.